It's a chilly summer morning, and life is about to wake up above the town of Prilep, North Macedonia. These steep hills, known as the Plitva region, are partly covered with green grass, but it's mostly rocks and marble that give the landscape its character. On the foot of the hills lies a scarce and quiet village. Most houses have been abandoned years ago. Only a handful of people still live here. Yet, just above these rooftops, life is sprouting. The rocky hills of Pletvar are the only home of a rare species of butterfly, a steno-endemid, called the Macedonian grayling. The name derives from the color of its wings, a feature she uses to become less visible to predators. She prefers rocky areas and therefore dwells at higher altitudes. An early riser, she has the role of a pollinator for the specific vegetation in the area. She feeds off the flowers' nectar while allowing them to survive. After her regular morning chores, once the sun's rays become unbearable, she retreats. Professor Vladimir Krpac is one of the entomologists who study the grayling. He still recalls when the Austrian scientist Franz Josef Gross described the species as unique and with distinct genes back in the 1970s. A species that exists nowhere else in the world, but on these 10 kilometers of rocks and grass. They named it Pseudocezara chingovski, after the renowned Macedonian scientist and entomologist Jonče Chingovski, with whom Professor Krpac was a close collaborator.
Znači, period na letanje je juli i avgust. So to, što pikot je nekada konkret na juli i početak na avgust, najgolem pik, najgolema brojnost i poslije ta brojnost opadja, pošto znajete, golem del od njih umirat, bila tu loveni od nekakvi drugi organizmi koji se hranat su njih i taka natamo. Proizvedu jedna generacija, znači univoltin tip. Jajcata gi polaga na festuka, to je jedan vidna treva, busenova treva. Kada se hrani gasenicata, se preslaka 3 do 4 pati, potom se vkukluva. Ponatamošnji proces, da li se vkukluva vozemlja ili na drugo mjesto ne doistraženo, ne bi možel na listina da kažem. I ne može da se najde u literatura što se slučuva sa to. Novo naredna ta generacija sigurno će se pojavati kako возрастni, izlegovat i se povtorovat ciklusot. To je imat ciklusna potpolna metamorfoza, znači jajce, gasenica, kukla, adult, возрастna forma.
There are hidden secrets about the grayling's life which are yet to be discovered. But one can witness the unique ecosystem above the village of Pletvar that this butterfly has helped maintain and flourish. A system where nothing could work if one piece was to be taken away.
Svaki taj insekt koji se hrani na cveću jako puno znači, jer svi oni imaju i različit period aktivnosti i period godine kad su aktivni. Možda neki mogu da lete na nižim temperaturama, neki na višim. Tako da oprašivanje u stvari zavisi od te raznovrsnosti. Da bi oprašivanje bilo potpuno i kompletno, moramo da imamo različite oprašivače. I to je ključ. Ključ uspešnog oprašivanja je upravo u toj raznovrsnosti da je svaki pojedinačni član važan.
During the month of July, the Plitvar fields are buzzing with life, and there is a specific mixture of scents in the air that one can only feel in the summer. However, this may not be the case forever. The last field research was done in 2012 by a team of national and international entomologists. They proved a decrease in the Macedonian grayling's population by up to 30%. They say it is mostly due to habitat loss. In the study, 5 out of 7 locations marked as home of the grayling have proven to be turned into marble quarries. It's a very lucrative business for North Macedonia, known for the high quality of its marble. Despite the negative effect on the fragile ecosystem, the Macedonian government allowed concessions for enlarging the mine's area in 2021, remaining deaf to the alarming protest of the scientists.
I не е чудо ако не се поведе некоја поголема акција да го изгубиме овој вид како вид познат за фауната на Македонија. Да го направиме ова додека нема да биде касно. Затоа што ние имаме одговорност да го оставиме на идните генерации. Ова богатство на фауната што го имаме. Тоа се фактите, друго нема.
But there is yet another, less visible enemy of the Macedonian grayling. Surprisingly, it comes in the form of a friend, a butterfly lover. They visit to admire the meadows, but soon after they leave, an offer to buy a trophy appears online. Several European countries are home to companies that host websites on which a specimen of one of the rarest and most endangered butterflies in Europe can be purchased for just about 30 euros. Contacting the sellers and completing the transaction is as easy as the grayling's flapping with its wings. One specimen ordered from Poland will travel back to North Macedonia with the International Courier Service, DHL. The other one, ordered from the German town of Haibach, is to be delivered to another West German town. Within 2 working days, the packages are delivered. They come in a wrapped box with a post office sticker saying that it contains a decorative object. The rare pollinator of Pletvar, far away from its natural habitat, is now just an object that can be ordered like a book, a DVD, or a pair of shoes. Was this purchase illegal? Who is protecting the Macedonian grayling? There are 2 types of species protection. One on a national level, the other on an international one. Both start with the inclusion of the species in a so-called red list. These lists are not law-binding and are just a way for scientists to suggest protective measures from the institutions. In 2009, the International Union for Conservation of Nature red-listed the grayling as a critically endangered species. A bit later, in 2011, an unofficial red list of Macedonian butterflies helped to define the Macedonian grayling as a severely endangered species by the Macedonian government. This major achievement included a legal ban on collecting, selling, and exporting the butterfly. The only exception to the law is under the possession of a scientific permit, a permit that we do not have. But on the national border, something isn't really working according to the laws. We contact the Macedonian customs, who inform us that there were no incidents in which somebody was stopped for taking a grayling across the country's borders. But we know it happens, holding as proof a trophy that we mail-ordered from 2 European countries and brought across national borders ourselves. We arrive in Zagreb, Croatia, entering the European Union. We are here to determine if the trophies we purchased were collected before or after the national ban in 2011. Some of the few people who have the required expertise and resources to do so are the scientists at the Ruger Bošković Institute in Zagreb. The procedure is complicated.
Kako znamo koliko je nešto staro? Dakle, ako je suvremeno, trebala bi biti ista koncentracija, aktivnost koliko je u atmosferi. Čim je ta aktivnost manja, znamo da je taj materijal stariji i onda prema ovom formuli radioaktivnog raspada u stvari mi odredimo koliko je vremena prošlo od trenutka smrti organizma, znači kad je prestala ta asimilacija s atmosferom do trenutka mjerenja.
The results reveal the specimen bought from the German seller turned out to be collected and prepared in the 1970s, thus before the legal ban imposed by the Macedonian authorities. However, the trophy we ordered from Poland was collected and prepared in 2012, when the ban was already in place. Who is to blame?
Ja bih rekla da vaši leptiri jednom kad dođu u Europsku uniju više nema pomoći. Se mora nadzirati uzimanje iz prirode, sankcionirati nezakonito uzimanje iz prirode tamo gdje se ono događa i izvoz iz Makedonije konkretno ovih vrsta koje su zaštićene samo u Makedoniji. Nije realno očekivati da će druga granična tijela određivati tu stvar, odnosno štititi populaciju iz neke druge države. Ono što se naravno može i dijelom radi kroz veterinarske propise, kroz carinske propise, bez obzira što je to negdje uzeto iz prirode, vi i dalje morate poštivati veterinarske propise ako se radi o životinjama i carinske propise u smislu da roba mora biti deklarirana, znači da ne smije biti sakrivena, da ne smije biti švercana. Ali ipak je zapravo najveći teret zaštite takvih populacija na onoj državi odakle one dolaze.
This is Bogoljub Sterijovski, a passionate protector of the Macedonian fauna, a scientist who is currently working with the Ministry of Environment regarding the implementation of new protection laws. His efforts have opened a pathway for saving the Macedonian serpent species. But there is so much more to be done, he says, regarding the on-site protection of the Macedonian grayling.
Нашата земја се соочува со оно што се вели илегално колектирање на разни видови, без разлика дали се животински или растителни, кои се од интерес за илегалната трговија која се случува во Европа и дури и на глобално ниво. Такви примери се случуваат најчесто во западниот дел од земјата, меѓутоа во последно време и нашите степски предели се на удар и секогаш се оние видови кои се интересни за црниот пазар.
What does the market for butterflies look like? Who are the people involved? To follow the trace of our purchased specimen from the Polish seller, we reached out to him. His answer leads us to the exchange markets, popular among insect enthusiasts. They happen in several Central European cities, all throughout the year. We contacted two of them with the request to film and talk to the organizers. Both requests were denied. Contrary to our expectations, we did not meet environmental criminals here.
Wir sind ja geradezu angewiesen auf die Zuarbeit von Privatgelehrten, also Leuten, die sich sehr professionell mit der Sache auseinandersetzen, ohne jetzt hauptamtliche Insektenforscher zu sein. Denn die Insekten sind die größte Tiergruppe der Welt. Das heißt, eine unglaubliche Artenfülle, vergleichsweise wenige Spezialisten, die diese Arten erkennen können.
Professor Segerer and other employees in the Bavarian State Collection have built a part of their abundant collection through these markets. Featuring almost 22 million zoological objects, it is one of the largest natural history collections on the planet. But why is it important to keep and build collections of dead butterflies, even protected species?
Das ist das, was die Wissenschaft antreibt. Und dazu muss man Insekten sammeln. Schon allein aus dem Grund, weil mindestens die Hälfte aller Insektenarten äußerlich am lebenden Tier gar nicht bestimmbar ist. Um zu wissen, mit was ich überhaupt arbeite und was dieses Tier für Funktionen in der Natur hat, muss ich es, wenn ich es bestimmen will, dann auch abtöten, was kein Problem ist, wenn das Wissenschaftler wissen, was sie tun, wenn das im verantwortlichen Maß passiert.
However, the poaching and the selling of the Macedonian grayling is a punishable act, according to the legal ban in North Macedonia of 2011. But the grayling can be easily purchased online within the EU. We ordered various specimens ourselves, and one of them was supposedly bought from an exchange market. How is that possible? The species that are not protected internationally, but only in the territory of their origin, are in a legal loophole. Once poached and transferred, the Macedonian grayling can be sold on the international market without any legal issues. This has made the insect market saturated with specimens of the grayling, and as a result, its price dropped to 30 euros.
Das ist die eine Triebfeder. Die andere für Sammeln ist, seltene Objekte zu haben, die es nicht so oft gibt auf der Welt. Ja, und das kann schon eine sehr starke Triebfeder auch sein für Leute, die zum Beispiel den Macedonian grayling unbedingt haben müssen, weil er nur an ganz wenigen Stellen auf der Welt überhaupt vorkommt und weil dem dann ein ökonomischer, ein Marktwert zugeordnet wird. Also etwas völlig Künstliches. Und das halte ich persönlich für keine gute Triebfeder für das Sammeln. Und ich denke auch in Einzelfällen, wie vielleicht bei dieser Art, die nur ganz wenige Fundstellen hat, kann das auch schädlich für die Populationen sein.
But why do people who claim to love butterflies poach and sell them? Of course, specimens of certain species can cost up to 9,000 euros, but the profit margin of the Macedonian grayling, costing only around 30 euros, is extremely low. So what is their alibi for poaching the grayling anyway, knowing the species is highly endangered? We got our answer from a Czech admirer of the Macedonian grayling.
Naime, uočeno je kako zapravo nedostaje znanje i svjesnost javnosti, ali i sudaca i tužitelja o ozbiljnosti ove vrste zločina. Jer eto, procjena je da godišnje troškovi ove vrste zločina iznose 258 milijardi dolara. Dakle, to su zločini koji predstavljaju veliku štetu i veliku opasnost i za biološku raznolikost planete, za lokalne zajednice, ali i za gospodarstvo u cjelini.
S obzirom da je vrlo često ilegalna trgovina u stvari povezana sa neodrživim iskorištavanjem divljih vrsta iz prirode. Dakle, najčešći motiv ilegalne trgovine je zarada. Pa se onda iz prirode praktički uzima velik broj jedinki na način koji nije održiv.
I sve je nekako povezano. Nekad mi te veze ni ne vidimo, to nije tako očigledno. I nekad se čak i posljedice ne vide odmah.
Habitat loss, severe climate, invasive species. These factors will be even more accentuated in the forthcoming years. Our biodiversity is at stake. Humanity is trying to adapt and learn how to live with the ongoing changes. But on the other hand, we still inflict pressure on some rare species like the Macedonian grayling. The uncontrolled collecting and poaching are additional burdens on the wings of this vulnerable insect. Severely endangered today, it may become extinct tomorrow, and soon after, humanity may feel the butterfly effect.
Imali smo situacije gdje su se zapravo događale nezakonite radnje na način da su strani znanstvenici i stručnjaci, a ja vjerujem onda i hrvatski u drugim državama, nezakonito uzimali konkretno i leptire i kukce iz prirode, zato što nekako smatraju da su stručnjaci, da oni znaju je li to u redu ili nije i da onda ne trebaju nikoga ništa pitati. I isto tako je bila situacija sa stranim znanstvenicima da dolaze u Hrvatsku, dogovore se s nekim od naših i onda kao ne treba nikakva posebna dozvola. Znači, neovisno o tome ko to radi, svi moraju imati dozvolu i onda se znači prema tome što se radi, prema nekakvim količinama primjeraka određuje šta se može, šta je prihvatljivo, a šta više nije. Tako da ne gleda se na to ko pita, nego šta planira raditi.
The poaching of the Macedonian grayling and the expert from the country is currently tackled with the project of aligning the international with the national laws. Bogoljub explains that there are trainings envisioned that will help the authorities fight this problem.
Нормално овие обуки не можеме да кажеме дека ќе ги решат сите проблеми веднаш, меѓутоа се добра основа за понатаму да се продолжи уште подлабоко да се навлезе во она што е целосна имплементација на ЦИТЕС конвенцијата. Дополнително да посочам дека во целиот тој процес ние имаме помош од страна со релевантни експерти од областа и од конвенцијата и од земји кои веќе се со активна имплементација на ЦИТЕС. Тоа на нас ќе ни даде една солидна основа како да продолжиме понатаму.
The CITES Convention is a list of species that are protected on an international level. That is the next step after they've been red listed. The Macedonian grayling, which has been on the IUCN red list since 2009, is still not protected by international laws. In the waiting room, there is a crowd of species from all over the world, expecting to get help from the international authorities.
There's probably maybe a blind spot for insects at the moment because, well, it's not very charismatic. And I think especially in the wildlife trade realm, for many years, we've focused a lot on charismatic species. I think this is changing a little bit.
The EU is currently revising its wildlife directives. Audrey is optimistic regarding the upcoming changes. At the Worldwide Fund for Nature, she helped by working on law amendments that aim to close the loophole regarding the neglected species.
I think from a legislative perspective, the biggest improvement that we need at the moment is a revision of the Environmental Crime Directive. And it is actually happening at the moment that we're speaking. And why it's important to revise this directive, because the one we have now dates from 2008, so it's quite outdated. The world has changed since.
While WWF demands to merely strengthen the existing system, other organizations suggest a new approach. To take the leap and catch up with the changing times, the EU Policy Cabinet is considering an alignment with the legislation in the USA.
We are discussing this since years now with the Commission, and we are suggesting a legislation similar to the EU Laissez Act. This is basically legislation that makes a criminal offence to trade in species that are protected in the country of origin. And this is a very fair legislation in our view, because it's really to support the conservation efforts of the source country by establishing that what is illegal in their country is illegal also in Europe. And in the EU, we have a very brand new legislation, which is called a Digital Service Act, that will be in the next year could be the real game changer, because it establishes very strong obligation, especially to very large online platform in terms of what they should monitor, how they should make sure that what is illegal offline, it's also illegal online.
The ongoing poaching proves that human beings have still not learned to appreciate the uniqueness of even the smallest creatures in the complex system of the circle of life. A circle in which all organisms strive to survive in order to preserve life as a whole. And a circle we as human beings are a part of and depend on as much as the Macedonian grayling. Until the new laws that ought to protect it take power, may it persist and continue to bring life above the lonely village of Pletvar.